In a haunting October scene back in 1961, the air resonated with the distinct rumble of a solitary Tupolev Tu-95, carrying a payload heavier than itself, the notorious Tsar Bomba. Inside the plane, cameras captured the tense atmosphere, while outside, the world braced for the imminent moment. Everyone held their breath. As the countdown neared its end, the world anticipated the unleashing of the most destructive thermonuclear device ever imagined. In the tense early 1960s, the Soviet Union, driven by a blend of fear and ambition, dared to explore the limits of nuclear capabilities. The Tu-95, tailored for crew survival, bore an eerie anti-flash white paint job. This trial was a challenge not just for the bomb, but also for the aircraft itself, a challenge that echoes through decades as part of Russia's ongoing ambitions. The birth of the Bear traces back to the late 1940s and early 1950s at the Tupolev Joint Stock Company in Moscow. In those years, the Soviet Union was intensely focused on developing a robust intercontinental bomber capable of hitting distant targets, particularly in the United States. Leading this bold venture was Andrei Tupolev's esteemed design bureau. Their initial concept, the Tu-85, crafted in 1949, heavily borrowed from the American Boeing B-29 Superfortress, an aircraft the Soviets had painstakingly reverse-engineered. However, by 1950, as demands escalated, it became evident that deeper innovations were necessary. The fresh criteria demanded a bomber capable of an incredible 8,000-kilometer journey, sans refueling while carrying an immense 11,000-kilogram payload. Choosing the right engine proved a significant challenge for Tupolev in powering this colossal aircraft. Insights from the Tu-4 emphasized that conventional piston engines fell short for such an ambitious project. Meanwhile, existing jet engines like the AM-3, intended for the envisioned T-4 intercontinental jet bomber, were heavy consumers of fuel, compromising the desired range. Seeking the perfect engine, Tupolev's team leaned toward turboprop engines. These beasts surpassed piston engines, provided a superior range compared to modern turbojets, and struck a speed balance between the two. Remarkably, turboprops powered numerous iconic aircraft in that era. The American Boeing B-52 Stratofortress, aiming for similar long-range goals, and a fleet of British planes like the Saunders Roe Princess, Bristol Brabazon Mk2, and Bristol Britannia harnessed their might. In 1951, Tupolev unveiled a revolutionary turboprop aircraft design, gaining the Russian government's approval that July. Named the Tu-95, this aircraft epitomized the era's technological marvels. It housed 4 Kuznetsov turboprop engines, each equipped with dual propellers spinning in opposite directions, unleashing a formidable force. Interestingly, these engines stemmed from the minds of German engineers, former World War II prisoners of war. The Tu-95 boasted a standard fuselage design with wings positioned mid-body. These wings, featuring a backward angle, were structurally robust, guaranteeing the wing spar, the primary structural backbone, intersected the fuselage just before the bomb bay, enhancing overall stability. The Tu-95 featured retractable landing gear, designed to seamlessly integrate into the aircraft during flight. Comprising 3 strut sets, frontal and dual rear, the gear folded backward upon retraction, with the main gear nestled into the extensions of the inner engine nacelles. November 1952 witnessed the maiden flight of the prototype, the Tu-95-1, piloted by the esteemed test pilot Alexei Pereley. Nonetheless, within the following 6 months of testing, a critical flaw surfaced. A gearbox malfunction in one of the propellers led to a devastating crash, tragically taking Pereley's life. Unfazed, Tupolev persisted, pioneering advancements with the Tu-95-2, integrating the more reliable Kuznetsov NK-12 turboprops. These new engines supplanted the initial Tu-TV-2F models, infamous for their unreliability. After a successful series of tests, the Tu-95 commenced production in January 1956. This marked the start of a legendary chapter for the aircraft, cementing its status as one of Russia's most iconic strategic bombers. Notably, it stood as the only Soviet bomber of its era capable of reaching the United States without mid-air refueling. With a top speed of 650 kilometers per hour, the Tu-95 owed its prowess to the four Samara-Kuznetsov NK-12 Metropy turboprop engines. Each of these powerhouses churned out an impressive 11,033 kilowatts, driving the 8-bladed propellers spanning 5.6 meters in diameter. Built entirely from metal, the aircraft flaunted its high-performance attributes through its notably swept wings positioned at a 30-degree angle. The fuselage, with a circular cross-section measuring 2.9 meters in diameter, contained 3 pressurized compartments. Equipped to tackle icy conditions, the aircraft incorporated anti-icing heating systems along the leading edges of its wings and tailplane. With a substantial fuel capacity of 95,000 liters, the Tu-95 boasted in-flight hose and drogue refueling capabilities. Its nose-mounted device, illuminated for night operations, contributed to its operational flexibility. Performance-wise, the Tu-95 boasted a swift climb rate of 10 meters per second. Reaching a maximum speed of 920 kilometers per hour, it cruised comfortably at 710 kilometers per hour. Its remarkable 15,000-kilometer range allowed for extensive journeys without refueling, while its combat radius spanned 6,400 kilometers. Operating at a ceiling of 12,000 meters, it defined its operational altitude. In 1956, the impressive strategic bomber made its debut in the Soviet Union. Within US and NATO intelligence circles, this aircraft, initially designated Tu-20 by the Soviet Air Force, stood out. However, upon its operational phase, the aircraft manufacturer had already internally named it Tu-95. Consequently, the Tu-20 designation diminished within the USSR. Yet, in the West, the Tu-95 became widely known by its more familiar moniker, Bear. Initially crafted for nuclear bomb transport, this aircraft stood as a pillar of the Soviet Union's strategic strength. Over time, the Tu-95's design showcased its resilience, evolving through numerous upgrades and spawning diverse versions. Notably, its transformation shifted it from a carrier of nuclear bombs to a vehicle for cruise missiles. A notable variant was the Tu-95RT, symbolizing the Cold War period. Predominantly employed for maritime surveillance and targeting, its role involved monitoring oceans and tracking aircraft, ships, and submarines. An identifying characteristic was a significant bulge beneath its structure, suspected to accommodate a radar antenna for surface vessel detection. Additionally, the Russian Navy procured a naval aviation version derived from the Tu-95, known as the Tu-142 Bear. The Tu-142M model focused on anti-submarine warfare. Conversely, the Tu-142MR, or Bear J, played a distinctive role as a submarine radio relay aircraft, crucial for maintaining communication between Russian submarines in the Northern and Pacific fleets and their command centers. Equipped with cutting-edge communication gear, the Bear J was dedicated to ensuring uninterrupted communication. In the turbulent 1960s, the Soviet Union ventured onto the ocean's surface to carry out a series of nuclear tests. Among these tests, one iconic event stands out. On October 30th, 1961, a specially modified Tu-95 bomber dropped the monumental Tsar Bomba, the most powerful thermonuclear weapon ever detonated. Adorned in anti-flash white paint, the Tu-95V externally carried the Tsar Bomba due to its sheer size, unfit for the standard bomb bay. Beyond this historic event, the Tu-95 showcased exceptional versatility, accommodating various ordnances. Nevertheless, the aircraft's initial versions were not renowned for their comfort. Often depicted as dim and inhospitable, these interiors lacked even the most fundamental comforts. Yet, this didn't discourage the highly trained crews who, despite the challenging conditions, executed missions lasting 10 hours, twice a week, totaling approximately 1,200 flight hours annually. The Tu-95 bomber crews stood as a source of pride for the Soviet Air Force. Their routine encompassed rigorous training missions in the depths of the Arctic, simulating potential strikes against the US. Interestingly, unlike their American counterparts, these bombers did not carry live nuclear weapons during exercises. This decision stemmed from the logistical challenges of storing live warheads in specialized bunkers and the cumbersome process of equipping the aircraft with them, deemed counterproductive to ensuring rapid mission readiness. Making its debut in 1984, the Tu-95MS, dubbed the Bear H in Western contexts, remained in service until 1992. This upgraded version bolstered Russia's capabilities in extensive missions, ensuring the continued significance of the Tu-95 in its defense strategies. From this model stemmed two variants, influenced by the maritime Tu-142 aircraft. The Tu-95MS-16 has the capacity to transport 16 long-range air-launched cruise missiles, 6 internally. In contrast, the more prevalent Tu-95MS-6, termed the Bear H-6, does not carry external missiles, a strategic choice influenced by international treaties such as SALT and START. As of 2022, approximately 60 Tu-95MES bombers, including both variants, were positioned in heavy bomber regiments at Engels and Ukrainka. This count includes 3 aircraft formerly stationed in Ukraine. Additionally, the Russian Air Force utilizes 11 of the earlier Tu-95KUs for training. The Kh-55 cruise missile, offered in both standard and nuclear configurations, serves as the principal armament for the modern Tu-95. However, by December 2022, 2 Russian air bases faced attacks. Several Tu-95s and other aircraft sustained damage from strikes by upgraded Tu-141 drones, marking a shift in the situation. Notably, in 2023, Russia extensively utilized the Tu-95 to carry out long-range missile strikes on Ukrainian targets from considerable distances, emphasizing the enduring importance of this aircraft in contemporary military operations. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you found this video fascinating, show your support by giving us a thumbs up and sharing your enthusiasm. Become a part of our General Furrington community today by subscribing and staying updated with our latest episodes. Thank you for tuning in.